Bounty hunting is a complicated profession, but maybe I can make it just a little bit easier for you. Here are a few suggestions that can help you get started. I'm Joey from Radio Free Coruscant, and these are the best ships for bounty hunters in Star Wars, Volume 3. Sarisa-class gunship. Next to nothing is known about the first ship on our list, so this will have to be brief. But it's a very cool looking ship that doesn't get a lot of attention, so I wanted to include it anyway. The Sarisa-class gunship was a small patrol craft used by the Pike Syndicate primarily to defend the airspace around their facilities. What we do know about it is that it was equipped with a hyperdrive and armed with 2 twin laser cannons and a tractor beam projector. It had seating for a pilot and co-pilot, and at least some amount of storage space. It measured about 20 meters long by 10 meters wide and 4.5 tall, and probably had a top speed of around 900 kilometers per hour. This would be a great ship for bounty hunters aligned with the Pike Syndicate, though others could probably buy it from the same manufacturer that the Pikes did if they would prefer not to associate with that group. As a Pike Syndicate bounty hunter, you would probably be hunting down customers with unpaid debts or contractors trying to escape their obligations to the criminal empire, so it wouldn't surprise me if you don't find this career path to be terribly exciting. If you worked for the Pike Syndicate, they would likely assign a ship of this type to you, otherwise you'd have to buy your own. I'm not sure what it would cost, perhaps around 100,000 credits. To set it up for bounty hunting, you'd have 2 options that I can see. It has 2 cockpits and some kind of cargo space, so you could either work with a partner or droid and convert the cargo hold into a cell, or work alone and convert the second seat into the cell and keep your equipment in the hold. Either way, its tractor beam and weapons make it a good choice for you. YT-2400. In my original bounty hunter video, I suggested that you use any light freighter for bounty hunting. One that I think would be especially useful to you is the Corellian Engineering Corporation YT-2400. It was popular with legitimate cargo companies, smugglers, and pirates alike, and I think it would serve a bounty hunter quite well too. It measured 28.5 meters wide by 18.6 long and about 9 tall, and had a Class 2 hyperdrive plus a top speed of 800 kilometers per hour. Though like all CEC ships, it was highly modular and designed to be upgraded. It had a recommended crew of 3, but could be flown by just 1, and could carry 6 passengers and 150 tons of cargo. By default, it was armed with 2 dual laser cannon turrets, but it was actually built with 13 weapon hardpoints for maximum customizations. You could kit it out with whatever weapons suited your combat style best, and install them in a variety of locations. Concussion missile launchers were a popular choice, and I would recommend you add ion cannons and a tractor beam as well. In addition to being heavily armed, it was heavily armored, with double thickness armor plating and a reinforced frame. This level of durability would be perfect for bounty hunters going after targets that are unlikely to be cooperative, such as crime lords or high-ranking Imperials. For interior modifications, you could convert the unused crew quarters, passenger cabins, or cargo hold into the prisoner cells, depending on what else you planned to do with it. Unfortunately, interior space in the YT-2400 was limited compared to many other YT series freighters, but nobody said your prisoners had to be comfortable. Something you won't have to upgrade or modify is its power core, which was nearly twice as powerful as other YT freighters to accommodate all the other potential upgrades. All that would run you 130,000 credits new or 32,000 used, which I think is a fantastic value for all it comes with right off the showroom floor, and the enormous potential it has with a few modifications. Omicron-class attack shuttle. Now, this next ship comes with the caveat that I don't really know how easy it will be to get your hands on it. The only Cygnus Spaceworks Omicron-class attack shuttle we've ever seen was in the service of Clone Force 99, but a clone trooper inspecting it not only recognizes the model, but notices that it has been modified too. I think we can deduce that it was probably manufactured in small numbers for various Republic Special Forces teams. Enough that it would have been included in the Clone Army's ship identification training, but not so many that we'd see a lot of them. Therefore, you will likely have a hard time finding one for sale on the used market, but you should be able to find one eventually. Check some scrap yards near major Republic facilities. There may have been some stored there that were scrapped when the Empire ditched their former Republic tech. So, what does this ship offer that would be worth searching for so extensively? Well, mostly it just looks cool, which is the most important quality a ship can have. But it had tangible benefits too. The Omicron-class was a more advanced version of the already fantastic new class attack shuttle, and better suited to the sort of long-term habitation a bounty hunter ship tends to get. It was extended with slightly more interior space, had better weapons, and even stealth systems. It could scramble its magnetic signature somehow, and appeared to have a unique hull coating that corroded into a coppery blue-green instead of the normal brown, which I suspect was the result of a stealth coating of some kind. To make it ready for bounty hunting, you'd want to remove the rear turret and its escape hatch, or just weld the hatch shut and move the turret controls to the cockpit, and then convert the turret platform into a cell for your prisoners. You would then have the rest of the ship to yourself. Somewhere inside the ship was storage for a pair of large door-mounted winches for airlifting crew and cargo inside. You could ditch these and use that space for your weapons and equipment storage, or keep them around in case they might be useful to you someday. The Omicron-class measured 30.3 meters long by 36.6 meters wide and 12.4 tall. It had a Class 1 hyperdrive and a top atmospheric speed of 750 kilometers per hour. It was designed for a pilot, co-pilot, and gunner, but could safely be flown by just one instead. It could also carry at least 4 passengers and about 1 ton of cargo. It was very well armed, with 2 forward heavy laser cannons and a rear double laser cannon. It was supposedly also equipped with 5 wingtip-mounted light laser cannons, but I don't think we ever actually see these fired in the show, so I think this is another case of sensors or antennas being mistaken for weapons. But I don't have a photographic memory and haven't seen most of the Bad Batch more than once, so I could be wrong. Finally, its price was unknown, but probably on the order of 100,000 credits. YV865 Auror. For something a bit larger, I would recommend the Corellian Engineering Corporation YV865 Auror-class freighter. This ship was infamous for its use by the Zygerian slave empire, and while that may have been a deterrent for more upstanding businesses, bounty hunters tend to be the more unscrupulous sort and probably wouldn't care about the optics of using such a ship. YV865s were also used by the Mining Guild, Banking Clan, CIS, and even Saw Gerrera's partisans, so perhaps its reputation fades as you get further from Zygerian space. The ship also got a significant upgrade sometime in the early Imperial era, with new engines, a forward airlock, modern aesthetics, and blockier proportions, so it's possible that CEC wanted to distance the model from its use by the Zygerians, and if you're concerned about that, this version could be for you. It shouldn't be hard to set up a YV865 for use in bounty hunting. You can just copy the Zygerian Empire's homework and set up cells for your prisoners in a similar way they did. It was a pretty big ship, so you should still have room left over for living quarters, equipment storage, and more as well. It was a very old model of ship though, so you would probably do well to update its engines, weapons, and sensors. But being so old and having modern technology hidden in it could be a big advantage, making your enemies underestimate you. The YV865 measured 52.3 meters long by 42.3 meters wide and 16.4 meters tall. It had a top speed of 900 kilometers per hour and a Class 1 hyperdrive, which is pretty impressive for its age. It was armed with a twin medium laser cannon and a grappling turret, which I would recommend you upgrade as soon as possible. It required only 1 crew, but had a recommended crew complement of 10, a pilot, co-pilot, engineer, comms and sensor operator, 2 loadmasters, and 4 gunners. Like I said the last time I talked about it, I don't know why it needed 4 gunners for 1 gun, but fortunately you don't need them. It could carry 15 passengers or 100 prisoners, though you would probably want to carry fewer prisoners in larger and more humane accommodations. I would guess it could probably carry 50 to 100 tons of cargo as well. The only drawback to the YV865 would be the cost of 240,000 credits new, but it's been around long enough that you could probably find one on the second-hand market for much less. Kom'rk-class Gauntlet. And finally, the last ship I am going to recommend today is the Mandal Motors Kom'rk-class Fighter Transport, also known as the Mandalorian Gauntlet. Several of the most prominent bounty hunters in galactic history were Mandalorians, so it's only fitting to end on one of that planet's ships. There were 3 slightly different models of Gauntlet. The main difference between them was size, with the oldest being about 70 meters long, the next one being 50 meters, and the latest 30 meters. They were mostly identical other than size and minor aesthetic differences, like the position of the forward laser cannons. All 3 versions had a drop bay to deploy Mandalorian warriors into battle, which you could repurpose into your prisoner cell. You could even keep the bay doors and threaten to drop your prisoners out of them if they don't want to behave. But other than that, it wouldn't even need any modifications to make it ready for bounty hunting. It already had a comfortable cockpit and cabin, with a small planning area that you could store your stuff in or use as living quarters. So, which Gauntlet should you get? The original model measured 68.1 meters long by about 66 meters wide and 12.5 meters tall. The Gauntlet Mark II came out to 52.3 meters long, 51.5 meters wide, and 9.5 tall, and the Mark III was 29.6 long, 28 wide, and 4.8 tall. I can't recommend the Mark I at all. With its wings folding vertical for landing, it turns into a 20-story tall arrow giving away your location. I don't think it takes a genius to see why that would be bad for a bounty hunter. The Mark III would be my preferred version of the Gauntlet. As the smallest version, it would be the most subtle and easiest to maintain. However, as best as I can tell, it entered production shortly before the Great Purge of Mandalore, meaning its manufacturing was probably cut short and few were built. You would likely have an easier time finding the middle size, the Mark II. That was the version used towards the end of the Clone Wars, and likely the most mass-produced model. It wasn't that much smaller than the Mark I, but every meter shorter makes a difference. Regardless of which size of Gauntlet you choose, most of the other stats are exactly the same. It had a Class 1 hyperdrive and a top speed of 1,000 km per hour. It was armed with 2 forward and 2 rear laser cannons, as well as a concussion missile launcher. It only required 1 pilot with an optional co-pilot, and had seating for 24 passengers. At least 3 could sit in the cockpit with the pilot, and the rest were carried in the drop bay. It could also carry a small amount of cargo, and 2 months of consumables. The price of 190,000 credits seems to be the same for all 3 sizes. Apparently, even Mandal Motors is getting in on the shrinkflation game these days. On the other hand, with its weapons and capabilities remaining the same as the ship shrinks, perhaps they're just putting it on a weight loss regimen. And those are 5 more great ships for bounty hunters. Let me know which of these you'd have chosen, or what else you would have picked instead. And make sure you check out the 2 previous installments, and subscribe for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. RFC, out.